You dirty old sinner.
Sinner to winner, JazFM tuning into a higher frequency. Yeehaw. Named by the one and only Wing Bro, actually. You coined my new name, didn't you?
JazFM. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So anyone tuning in, obviously I'm Joseph, Wing Bro. I talk about dating, cold approach relationships. And I've got a special guest on today, Jazz from the channel Sinner to Winner, who I met through a group, and who has just completed a big life mission, life task. One he never even thought he was going to do. He's just finished running a marathon. I thought it'd be an amazing opportunity to get him on, and just to have a discussion a little bit away from approach and relationships, just to talk about individual life goals and self-development. So, Sinner, my friend, you're in bed. How long is the recovery from this marathon? It's
From what I hear, you don't do anything for a couple of weeks. Your first marathon, you just take a couple of weeks off. So yeah, I'm laying down right now because the body is. So just to give a quick recap, I'm 44. I'd up until 3 months ago, I'd never run over really 4 miles in my life. I'd done a couple of times. I'd done 8 miles. And the week after I did the second 8 miler, I had a stroke. I had a brain bleed. The week after I did that 8 miler, I'd run it with some ultra marathon runner, and we did this trail run 8 miles. The week after I did a cold plunge, October 5th, 2023, and then I had this brain bleed, this stroke. So I've not really run since then. Never been a runner. And 3 months ago, I met this lad. I was in Lisbon. I'd gone to a hostel there. Really got on with him. We clicked really well. And he said he was doing a marathon. And I'd had a couple of drinks that night. And, the Dutch courage came out, and that Yorkshire energy. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that marathon with you. He said, I'm going to do one in Malaga in 3 months' time. I went, right, that's it. Next day, bought some trainers, bought some shoes, signed up, and started training. And yeah, did the marathon, just did it. And I broke 5 hours. I broke 5 hours, which I was so happy about. That's all I wanted to do. I never stopped running the whole time. Yeah, so I'm dead happy, but my body is feeling it, because even during the training for the marathon, I only ran over 16 miles once during the whole 12 months. I got shin splints after about a month because I'm not used to running. So I got shin splints straight away from doing the mileage. I had to start swimming. I was swimming a lot in LA when I was in LA. And yeah, but as my friend Xander told me, it's mainly mental, and the marathon starts at 30K. So, and from my experience, he was right. So yeah, I'm laying down. Sorry for people that are thinking I'm not taking this live seriously. I'm in recovery mode.
Oh, that's fair enough, mate. That's fair enough. So yeah, so from basically a drunken night out with the guy you met on holiday, you decided, right, I'm running a marathon in 3 months' time, and you actually saw it through.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. This is the thing that I love about that. This is why I've not said I'm going to run a marathon, because once you say it, I don't know how you feel, but if I say I'm going to do something, I basically have to do it after that. I feel like that's how you were with this training, like, because you had a lot of things that came up along the way in the last few months that could easily have been an excuse for you not to go through with this crazy scheme of running a marathon, So just talk to me about that. Just like you decide, like, your word is your bond. I feel like that applies to you as well. You say you're going to do something, and you basically make your best human attempt to possibly do it.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think I come from that. There's something powerful. It's even biblical, right? They say when 2 or more people are present, that's when the Holy Spirit can work. And there's something interesting about human beings. It's in Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron like another man sharpens another man. And there's something interesting when you give your word to somebody else. We band of brothers, and it's not about you anymore. It's about someone else, and it's about not letting someone down. That's how kind
Mhm.
of 12 step works for me. I've been in 12 steps since I was 16. My channel's on my channel, JazFM, and the Sinner to Winner LLC that I own. It's about helping people with a progressive character change. You know, we're this flesh, this venom in us, it don't matter who you are. We've all got our stuff. We've all got things. We're not perfect. It's progress, not perfection. And I think what happens is not just giving your word, but when you give it to someone else, there's something magical that happens. And yeah, Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens
Mhm.
iron like another man sharpens another man. And I gave my word to this lad, and that was it. And yeah, loads of things came up. I was in LA, I was in New York, I was in Rio. I had every reason not to do it, whether it were finances. I mean, today's December 16th is today. My daughter's mother made it so there'd be a child support court date on today in Rio that I had to be in Brazil for, or I'd get fined. Um,
Mhm.
it, it I had every reason to go, no, and I did for a little while, that I've got to do this, I've got to sort that out. But I thought, I knew. Someone said to me the other day, God speaks in statements, the devil speaks in questions. And I'd made a statement 3 months ago, I'm going to do this marathon. I will complete this mission. And many questions got asked along the way. And, you know, Xander, when I told him at one stage about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I said, I've got to go to this court date. I've got to sort this out. I've got to, these bills to pay. There's finances, and I've got to think about what I'm doing, and da 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 da. All the excuses, all the rationalizations, right? And he left me a 4-minute message on WhatsApp. And people who I loved and cared for me, who had nothing in it to gain but just wanting the best for me, all said, you got to go do that marathon. I'm
Mhm.
talking people who love me, people who are
Yeah.
connected to me with my DNA or not. And they were all like, you got to go do that marathon. You got to go there. You got to complete that mission. And
Mhm.
I did, mate. I did. And I got to meet myself. I got to meet myself along the way. Highly recommend it to anybody, man or woman, to do a marathon in your life.
Yeah, it's an amazing feat to do it off such a short amount of time, and with all the travel you've been doing as well. I knew you would do it. I knew you would do it as soon as there's obviously the situation in Rio, but as soon as you'd had that wobble, I thought, yeah, he's once he gets into Spain, he'll absolutely nail it 100%. I knew that you would do it. Um, yeah, and just for context as well, for people who don't know, just to do your first marathon in under 5 hours, especially essentially never having trained before, um, it takes is it takes some doing. You said you never stopped either as well, which I think is very impressive, despite having all sorts of cramps, thinking your hamstring was going to tear at one point. You said you never stopped running um, along the way. What was it? What was it in the marathon itself? Because you said other people, you were a first timer. You could have walked for a bit. You could have got a glass of water, had a little banana, and then started running again. No one would. No one would like critique a first timer in his 40s who would just who took that approach. What was it that made you just keep going, keep running, despite despite the physical almost incapacity at a certain point? It sounds like.
I do think it's funny, but what, like Xander, my friend, had said to me, it's mental. The marathon is mental. And I do think life experiences, if you're not lucky enough to have great mentors around you, or maybe a traumatic childhood that just sharpens you and forges you, I think my life experiences really helped me going through things that were emotionally and physically painful in my life. So I was okay when the pain came and panic could have sat in, you know, it could have set in. I didn't panic. I dealt with it. You got to be a good problem solver when you do things like this. You've got to,
Mhm.
you know, but yeah, I just think you find out who you are. You get to meet yourself. And what was great for me is I saw people quitting along the way. I saw people stopping and starting and walking. Um, I'd had people obviously say to me, I know a professional athlete or someone who were a professional athlete, and he said to me, "Okay, well, if you're going to do this thing, don't you walk, don't you dare walk, like don't walk," because I know somebody who did it, and they did the marathon and they completed it in God knows what time, but they walked. I asked them, and they walked, and I, it was interesting. And I gave him my word. I was like, I won't walk, and I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew I'd asked ChatGPT. I'd put all my training in that I'd done on Strava and things like that. I was like, "What do you think my time will be?" And ChatGPT, with all my time in and everything, it said 5 hours 15 minutes. You'll have the adrenaline, you'll do well, and you'll probably get through it like that. But everybody's got this wall, and the marathons. It's difficult. There's so many variables in it. So I just knew it was interesting. There was a calmness because no matter what I'd done, I'd all the way through my training, I was like, I'm going to do everything that my training asked me. So whether I was in LA, New York, or Rio, at these different points, whether I was getting off a plane or whatever, I always did my training. I always did or I always attempted it. So I had this confidence that I showed up for the 3 months. I adapted when I got shin splints. I did swimming, and I taught myself how to swim on YouTube shorts and things like that, so I could do it for a long time, to breathe underwater and things like that. I put the time in. When I went to Rio, when I had the jet lag and the heat hit me and I didn't fuel properly and I had to quit, when I did a 16 miler, I came back and I made sure I got that 16 miler done. I did a 20 miler. I made sure I constantly showed up for myself. So when I stepped on the line in Malaga, I'd done the training. I knew, I was like, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I've got every shot at this. I've had good people around me. Iron sharpens iron. Xander had showed me how to load, carb load. He'd done a marathon before. He knew how to fuel. He was giving me tips, blah, blah, blah. And what was interesting, though, was I got to meet myself, and there was never, ever a fucking chance I was not gonna run. I was not gonna walk. I was always gonna run. It was I got to really meet myself and know who I am. And even when I started cramping massively at mile 22, and I thought my hamstring was gonna snap, and I went down to grab my hamstring, and my right bicep started spasming and cramping, and I had to like keep going, and I was like ice skating, almost moving, and just so emotional, thinking, please do not, like, I don't want my hamstring to snap. And I was shouting out loud, and I was luckily there was a fueling station near me, and I even though you're not supposed to down any water, you're supposed to take small sips, I downed a load of this vitamin water, and I was like, never gonna quit. And I got to just realize that that's who I am. Talk is cheap. We can all have a couple of bevies. We can all say, I'm this, I'm that. But I got to see it, and I got to see who I was. And I don't know if I've always been this person. I think you can evolve and change and transform. But the person I am today, I respect. I respect. And mate, I'll tell you another thing I did as well. I fucking had a sprint finish in me as well. Even with all that said,
Really?
I had a sprint finish. Go look on my Strava. Go look on my Strava. It's there. I never stopped once. Go look.
That's superb, mate.
Everyone's welcome to go look on my Strava. And I had a sprint finish at the end of it all. Yeehaw.
Superb, mate. Super sprint finish on the first marathon. Yeah, that is absolutely superb. I think, yeah, I think the quality you're talking about is like doggedness and steel.
Grit.
Doggedness and steel. Grit. Yeah. These are two things that are, I think they're underrated in life. It's like qualities of, particularly qualities of men, but women as well. Just having steel and grit. It's such an underrated, unfashionable quality. Everyone wants to be smooth, or everyone wants to be intelligent, or everyone wants to be this, that, and the other. But one of the biggest qualities is just grit. Is just, I call it punch resistance. Just in things, just keep going, just keep
There you
moving.
go, mate. And do you know how you get punch resistance? you got to get punched a few times,
Yeah, exactly,
and that's how you get
exactly.
grit. And you won't wish
Yeah,
it. The stuff I've gone through, like even now, you know, whatever it is, whether it's two divorces, whether it's not been around your kid, whether it's stuff that's happened to you in your childhood, it all forges you. So when those moments come, you're
yeah,
like, and it's cheesy, but it's not cheesy. It's written because it's written from blood, sweat, and tears. But it's like when Rocky says, and he's getting hit by Mr. T, and he says, "Ain't so bad, ain't so bad, ain't so bad." You're like, "Yeah, is that all you got? Let's fucking go. Let's dance." And
mm,
I loved it. Like we talk about this in our men's group, in our mastermind. You know, we are obviously you compare and despair, and you're always competing ideally against yourself. But yes, when I was running and I saw guys that were yoked, quitting, walking,
hmm,
and I'm passing them, that fed my venom. That fed me.
yeah,
I'm like, I ain't quitting. I ain't walking. You're fucking half my age, and I am not walking. You're walking. I've hunted you down. Diesel engine
yeah,
engaged, and I'm passing
yeah,
you. And then I'd get a few of them starting up again and wanting and pass me, and then I'd think, okay, and then it would like tortoise in the hair, and then they'd stop again, and they'd have two or three of those sprints in me, past me. This was the last 10K, and then they'd stop, and I'd think, I ain't seen you again. You've quit. I've fucking took your soul, and that happened with about three people. Where I'd think they'd run past me, they'd get another, they'd try and run, and they'd try and think, nah, this guy's not, and I'd think, okay. And then it happened again. I was like, wow, people are patterns. I've just took your soul, your beat, you're getting and again, the marathon mindset. Don't start
yeah,
too fast. So many people started off too fast. It's like
uh-huh,
new year, new resolution. Yeehaw! I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that. And they all have a great first few days in them, and then all of a sudden they quit. No, slow and steady. I get told that
yeah,
in 12 step. I remember Bruce W, who's got 30 plus years in Gamblers Anonymous, my 12 step program. And he said to me, Jazz, there's two speeds to this thing, slow and slower.
hmm, yeah. Oh man, there's a lot in there. You know what you said about what you said about seeing the other guys, you know, go past you, and then having other guys you think, yeah, I want to catch him. Are you slowing down? Because I think there's an ideal of, oh, I'm just competing against myself, and there's this almost paragon of the most virtuous, perfect person. I know personally, I'm actually I can do that, but I would say maybe I'm even at my best when it gets down and dirty in my mind, and I start to think, "No, I'm gonna have you. You're the next one I'm coming for." You know, if it was like, yeah, if it was, I used to do cross country and things like that when and I wasn't particularly good. I just enjoyed it. But that would be, I was thinking of that when I was thinking of you. I thought, I bet he will be the same. He will use others, and it will just give you that extra spark. I think it's the same in a lot of areas of life. You watch someone else quit, and it's kind of sick, but it gives you a boost because you go, no, that's not me. I'm not doing that. I'm not going out like that. I'm going to keep going.
That
It's
was the thing, mate. It was never a
yeah,
question. That was the interesting part for me. Because obviously we are there's an awareness of an awareness when we're conscious. There's this awareness of the awareness. When you meditate, when you go through things, there's an awareness of the awareness. And I was like, I wonder what I'll be like. That'll be interesting. I'll find out. And what was great for me is there was just, I don't know, in the zone. I did everything right, whatever. It was just never a fucking question. I was never ever gonna stop. There was nothing. You have to put a bullet in me. It was just I
mm,
was that was how I was. And it was the icing on the cake, seeing people quit and things like that. It was just like, okay. And then when I was putting the sprint finishing, even with the cramps and things like that, I was thinking, wow, as I was coming down, they'd done it really well. The Malaga Marathon's awesome. And the finishing, the straight where we finished and going through the city centre and stuff, it was interesting. A lot of people were walking, and I'm thinking, why are they walking with 3K to go? And I thought, oh,
mhm,
they want to try and get a sprint finish in. Maybe that's why. So I'm like, why would you walk this close to the end? Makes no
mhm,
sense. For me, it looked so weak. Like there's a lot of people watching and things like that. But people are exhausted. And to be fair, you're fucked up in a marathon. Those last 10K, you really are. So is
I just get
that
that.
the doorbell, mate?
It's someone calling me from Ohio. What is going on there?
So yeah, that was the interesting part. And as they came down that straight, nobody had a sprint finishing them. And mate, I was sprinting. I'd say I was at 80% sprinting, like really going at it. And that was again. And I finished, and I just had that dog in me when I finished. I was just. I mean, there's a picture on my Instagram. If people want to go on my Instagram, it's Jazz Martin Pro, and my eyes, you can see I've engaged Psycho at that point,
Yeah.
and I've put my hands up. That's when I've come through, and I've literally just been sprinting that last half mile, coming down. Now, I'd say the icing on the cake is like comparing yourself and seeing all that. But 90% of the time, I'm looking at my watch. I know my times. I know I've got to stay around 11 minutes a mile if I'm going to break 5 hours. And I'm constantly thinking about that. And so I was competing against that, like, best me, best version of me. I need to be, you know what I mean? So, but you've got to use what you can use. And what works for you today might not work for you tomorrow. Right now, that worked for me. And sometimes it can be like I had a pair of socks that reminded me of my daughter. Um, Even the stain on my shoe, I had a stain of orange juice that she spilt on me when I were in Rio. And the morning of the race, I'm putting my shoes on and all my shoes stained. And I went, oh, I'm glad I've got that stain on me. It reminds me of my daughter right now. I can look at that stain of orange juice. At the time when she spilt the drink all over my shoe, I was annoyed. I mean, I didn't give her too much of a hard time, but I was like, oh, God, Piper, come on. But then it was funny how I was really happy. I'm like, it's funny how that's worked out. I'm really happy she spilled that orange juice on me because right now I look at my shoe and it reminds me of her. And so love is a great fuel.
Yeah.
I did imagine, I imagined family members cheering me on because I'm on my own. I've got
Yeah.
people, you know what I mean? There's people shouting, Vamos, Animai, all this from the sidelines. And it was nice, man. I believe in a higher power that I choose to call God. There was one guy that shouted out, go on, Jazz, Vamos, Jazz. And I was like, who knows me? And then this guy's like, Jazz. And then I realized, oh, it's on my number, my name. But I was like, that's so cool.
Legend.
That's so cool, man. Just those magical moments, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like there's a supportive feel with the marathon. That's what it sounds like, where everyone gets it and they're all trying to accomplish the same thing, even though you're competing against each other a little bit in some ways, in moments. But essentially, you're all just trying to do your own thing and get there. Sounds
Yeah.
like it's quite supportive. Yeah, it's interesting that you use whatever motivation you need to achieve what you want to achieve, whether it's the
Yeah.
competitive side, whether it's a love of your daughter, whether it's competing against the clock, whether it's proving something to yourself, whether it's proving something to other people, getting accountability from other people, not looking like a dickhead because you drop out of the marathon. You use everything. You use everything. I think that's the way to achieve your objectives. It's not one thing. You use whatever tools are available to you to keep you going, keep you motivated.
We spoke
Yeah,
about
it's
this
it.
recently about Daniel Day-Lewis as an actor, right? And he got asked that, like, how do you do it? And he's like, really, to be honest, your process, I don't give a fuck. Like, if it gets the right result, like
Mhm,
everybody's process could be different. There's not
mhm.
one way, and it might change over time. People get
Yeah.
obsessed sometimes with like, oh, what's your process? What's your process? How do you do this? How do you train? What do you eat? When do you eat? When do you sleep? People are different. We're not, it's not one
Mhm,
and you will change as a person every 5 years, every 10 years. You change.
mhm,
You do change your values, your beliefs, your insights, what makes you tick, what you know what I mean? And so that it's having that yeah, that what's the is it the right word to say? It's having that autonomy to just go, okay, that's cool, and
mhm,
we'll we'll roll with that. We'll roll with it. You got to roll with it.
mhm. Yeah, but honestly, it's a sensational achievement. So yeah. Um, Well, for people who'll see this live, we've got a few viewers on now, but people will see it afterwards. So I know Jazz from a group which is it's a self-development group, but it's all basically a cold approach slash relationship group. And this we talk about all sorts of things, and it's Jazz came in. I remember his very first meeting when he came in to join the group. Came in with another guy. This was one of my favorite meetings we've ever had. Jazz joined us. I think he'd just been in Rio, or he was in Rio, and he just comes in this all singing, all dancing, like ball of energy. Another guy joined us. He just got out of prison in El Salvador, and I said to the group owner, like, bro, where are we getting these people from now? I mean, we've got a lot of characters as it is. This is becoming insane now. And so yeah, so you joined really. You joined the group in a. If your motivation was a lot of it was about self development, and it was about being around the right people. And I think that's so important because you were a guy in your 40s. You'd been married. You'd worked in the. You'd been. Sinner's been an LA actor and bartender, you know, and model. So he's not had like he's got experience in the game of women, the game of relationships and so on. Not probably not your biggest struggle, but yet you still wanting to come in and get around the right people. I think that's such a wise way of looking at it. I don't think there's many people who would be open to go in. You know, like people who think they've already got it, they already can pull women. Why would I join a group? Why would I join it? You know, why would I join up with these guys? Why would I meet this guy? I'm just interested to find out about what your mindset was, and then also what you've taken from the whole process in terms of self-development as well. Because for you, I feel like it's been developing your self-confidence on a personal level even more, but then also using it in other ways as well, like running your marathon and other things you've done as well.
Well, that's it, mate. I mean, I got it. I've got it in a nutshell for you. I've got a right answer for you, mate. I've got fucking gold that's about to come out of my mouth. I'm telling you, 100%, mate. I've done the 10,000 hour rule. I've been in this thing since I was 16. The thing is, people come into 12 step and they think, so, like they come into our group, the cold approach
Mm-hmm.
group, right? So people come into 12 step and they'll come into Gamblers Anonymous or they'll come into Alcoholics Anonymous or and they'll think, I just want to stop gambling. I'm coming in. I just want to stop gambling. I'm fucking good. I just need to stop this gambling thing. And it's the bit, that's like fucking level one. That's
Mm-hmm.
level one, mate. Let's say there's 12 levels to it. That's level one. But a lot of people are like, if I stop gambling, I'm good, man. That's it. That's it. I'm out. Good. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I've done it for a year or da-da-da. I'm good now. Stop drinking. It's good. And a lot of people come into corporate and say, I just want a woman. I just want one woman. I just want
Yeah.
someone to like me. I just want a bit of attention. I just want someone to sleep with me. I just want whatever it is, right? Level one. And then they'll be out. And what I saw in Christian, because I know the levels and the 12 step and I know this wax on, wax off Mr. Miyagi stuff and what it's all about. What I saw somebody on what I wanted to get around was that level 12. I want to get there because the level is, it's like, how does one do this? One does this by bringing about a progressive character change. And I saw somebody on fire in a progressive character change. Christian was on fire and documenting it all in a progressive character change. It says in Gamblers Anonymous is from the Oxford group, which is from Christianity, which is from the way. Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, the life, right? So all this stuff is thousands of years fucking old. And then Jesus might have been from the Egyptians and da-da-da-da-da, and God knows what they're from, and the pyramids and all that. But all we know is, right, we have to be on purpose. We have to be evolving. We have to be transforming in a progressive character change. And a lot of people who come into this thing, whether it's 12 step, whether it's cold approach, they're coming in at level one, the symptom. They want to stop gambling or they want a woman and then they're out. Bye. I'm good now. I didn't want that. And I can't get my head around it, but they have to go through their own strength, experience, and hope. They have to go through their journey. But I'm just telling you the gold. The gold is you're missing the point. It's like Bruce Lee said. Bruce Lee fucking said it. Don't look at the finger, or you will miss all the heavenly glory. Right? Fucking hell, man. I'm just telling you, like, that's it. Like, it blows my mind that people would pay thousands of dollars to get this thing and get around this guy and then just go, or to get around this kind of energy, to get around
Yeah.
me and then just go, nah, I'm out because I got what? I got the symptom. I got the little carrot. I got the thing.
Yep.
How it says it in Gamblers Anonymous. How does one stop gambling through the Gamblers Anonymous program? One does this by bringing about a progressive character change. That's a magic eye picture right there. That fucking
Yeah.
paragraph is a magic eye picture. And so what I wanted to do, and you can go back and you can look at the interview I did with Christian, and you've known me and you've talked to me, and the way how I speak to Christian and what I like about him, and mine and Christian's meetings, and he'll tell you and what we talk about. I'm looking and I want to know, how do I improve myself?
Hmm.
And then that will cover all bases. That will
Yeah.
cover all bases. So yeah, there you go. There's the gold. I hope somebody can
Yeah.
fucking, you know what I mean, absorb that and it helps them.
Yeah. It's I think it's so good for. I think there's a new time arising now in, should we call it game? Game really is just men improving how they interact with women to get more favorable results for themselves, whether that's a better quality of girlfriend, better quality of relationship, more action in the bedroom, whatever it is. This whole game thing now is moved way away from, basically people who are totally clueless, and just want to, as you say, just want to get a girlfriend and then just be out, or just to guys who just want to ratchet up the maximum amount of numbers in the easiest possible fashion without, putting too much thought into it. I do think we're moving away from that now and seeing it more as a bigger picture. It's a holistic picture. And your interactions with women, they will reflect what's going on inside you. The confidence you feel or you don't feel, the girls that you select or you don't select, that will reflect stuff that's going on inside you. So there's always other things to handle outside, and I found it with clients as well. People who come in to work with me, is sometimes I don't even say it, but I can spot other things and I go, there's something else with this guy. I can see it, and that's okay. That's you deal with the first problem first. First problem is I can't even go and speak to the girl, so I need to work on that first of all, and then the next problem might be something that comes in the relationship down the line. But I think you've got to handle the two sides in tandem. You're relating to women, you're improving your confidence there, but also the other stuff as well. The other stuff as well, whether that's maybe some of slightly deeper inner work where you might be addressing things in your life, or it might even be something on a baseline physical level. Getting yourself into better shape, going over doing a marathon, um, whatever it is. So that's one of the things I like about our group, and it's what the ambition I've got for my own service and my own group as well, is to have, like, to build this brotherhood where we're such animals that getting women is just obvious, and getting the right woman is obvious, and getting whatever we want, whether that's a family or whether that's whatever you want, that's just going to be on autopilot. And then it's the other stuff where a lot of the work is going to be going in. So yeah, there's a lot of guys in our group who people would probably look at them on the outside and think, why would he bother working on his improving, relationships with women? He's already had girlfriends. He's fine. There's loads of guys like this. There's people who struggle, but there's lots of guys who don't struggle. And yeah, how have you found the actual cold approach? Because it was interesting for you, because if we compare it to a marathon, you went off on a sprint with your journey of, probably because you're already very experienced, but you went off on a sprint, and you kind of went on the classic victim of your own success when you started off. But now it seems like you've come back into using it for self-development and using it to build your confidence. And I remember when you had an acting role a few months ago, and you said you actually used some of that confidence, that alpha confidence you've been developing in the streets. You actually used it in your job. So I'm just interested to just hear your story on your own marathon of approach.
Well, it's, you speak several languages, right? So, and you'll know yourself, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. You've got to. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I can do this and that's it. No, if you don't use it, you lose it. So there's that. So again, we come back to Proverbs 27:17. You know what I mean? Iron sharpens iron. Show me your friends, you show me your future. If you want to get around, you want to be like, um, successful with women. One of my biggest things is, and confident, get around other men that want the same
Yeah,
thing. Get around
yeah,
a band of brothers. It's healthy. You know what I mean? Again, there's secrets in that. You get your group of disciples. Get around other men that compliment you. Get around people that fill your gaps. Men need to be around other men. You need that. It's healthy. Look at how much men love that community, whether it's a football team, whether it's the armed forces. There's something about that, and women love seeing men in that. Why do women
hmm
love guys in the military? Why do they love
yeah,
guys in the police or the firemen? There's something about a band of brothers that's very attractive. When other men have other men's back and blah blah blah, we're tribal. There's
yeah,
strength in that. So again, it blows my mind. It's like it's all there when other men would. What's the opposite of addiction? What's addiction? It isolates people. What's the opposite of addiction? Uh, um, Community, um,
hmm
interaction. So for me, it was important to get around guys like that, to be around guys like that. No man is an island, and yeah, I think for me, it's like the marathon mindset. The biggest thing in it is the two things: discipline and consistency. So
hmm
that's why one of Christian's favorite sayings is the rep is the reward. Reps, 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 reps. Stay out of the results, get into your habits, get into your patterns, and
yeah,
then execute, execute,
yeah,
execute. Stay out of the results. Stay out of the results. When you're in the results, usually you're worried too much what other people think. Other people, place, and people, place, and things. You're worried about too much about external factors. Fuck the results. Get into discipline. Get into consistency. Get into
hmm
those. Get into that action. The results will take care of themselves when you do that. So that's been the biggest thing for me. And then I've applied it to my YouTube channel now,
yeah,
JazFM. Tune into an higher frequency. I'm taking that marathon mindset to it, and I'm going no more zones of genius. Stay away from the ego. Let's get into same thing I did with the marathon. Let's get down diesel engine time. The
hmm
results will take care of themselves. Just keep showing up. Keep showing up. Keep going. Keep showing up. And it's the same with anything in life. So whether it's cold approach, whether it's your business, keep showing up, keep going at it. That Gary Player said it, didn't he? In golf, it's funny. The harder I practice, the luckier I get.
hmm yeah, yeah. It's an incredible. It's an interesting thing that just the way something like cold approach transfers across over into other areas. I think because it's harder than people realize, especially at the start. For most guys who are quite, um, let's just say a guy who's coming in who's a virgin and who's never done cold approach, has never had a girlfriend, is coming in on a very much a baseline. It's going to be it's all new, right? But even a guy who's coming in who has had experience, the first day or two, it can take a bit of an adjustment. So you going, what? I've got to go over to this girl apropos of nothing. She's never seen me before. She doesn't know who I am. Is this weird? All these things go through your mind. And you start to realize, oh, wow, the world isn't how I thought it was. Actually, a lot of these girls really enjoy it. Oh, wow, I can get a little bit better. I was a bit better this afternoon than I was this morning. And for the guys I see who obviously guys who've gone on to sort of use the approach almost as like I call it social steroids for me because I just feel like, well, if I can go out and do approaches in the daytime in all sorts of different places, that gives me a lot of social confidence that socially I can handle anything. I've you know I've been in all these different places and all these different scenarios. So any new thing I run into, I should be able to handle it okay. And I think that's the side sometimes guys miss. They just look at the girl and they think that's the goal. Yeah, of course you want the girl and you will get the girl. Like if you're around the right people and if you have good training, like when you were training for your marathon, I'm assuming you had a program that was set by, was it your mate Xander who set your program, or
It
was
was it was Garmin and ChatGPT and Strava.
yeah,
Just put it all
yeah,
together, and then that was it. Yeah.
yeah.
And then I would talk
But
to
you
Xander. I would talk to other people that I knew that were training, and ask them little bits and pieces, like when I got injured, how to deal with that, or what they do, etc., or how they've refueled, or what gels they used. You know what I mean? You run things by somebody. It's like again, like life. You don't ask somebody who's never run a business how to run a business. You know what I mean? You ask somebody who's run a business.
exactly, exactly. So you've got the right people, you've got the right program, and the result, and then you've got the drive, and the results. Then the results will take care of themselves. So yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, the guys, a lot of the guys that we've been coming through this with this last couple of years, quite a few of them have started their own channels in different ways. Obviously your channel now is just going from strength to strength, sinner to winner. You're all over the place. Most you're doing lives, talking about addiction, talking about life principles, um, and you're over in Brazil doing it, and it's just going from strength to strength. Other people have started channels as well. There's two or three other guys in our group who've started channels, including myself, and that's all come about through being around the right people, being around people who've got your own best interests at heart, who give you suggestions. I gave you the suggestion about your name, JazFM, or whatever program you're running, because in your case, it's just this ball of energy and positivity. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to tune into that for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day? It's amazing. We all need that. So, having other people around you. I remember when we did some filming in Manchester, just for my channel, we just filmed a few approaches. And it was, I really enjoyed I think I went in for one approach and you just straight away afterwards, you're like, I need a bit more from you, mate. I need, like you were a casting director. And I was like, yes, I love this. I love this. I was like, he's right as well. I've got way more in the tank. Why aren't I putting it out there? So if you're around people, there's only so much you can pull out of yourself. There's only so much you can do yourself. You've got to be around the right people. You've got to be around the right people. So yeah, to guys out there who are looking, maybe you're in a little bit of a pit of despair with what your personal life is looking like, and you're looking on the internet and it's all saying you need to be a giga chad, you need to be this, that, and the other, and it's all just the wrong people and the wrong information. I would just say don't suffer in silence and don't try and go it alone. Get on calls with me, get on calls with other coaches, whatever it is. Just find the person and the people you would like to be around and you think could actually support you in your own transformation. And the world you may be opening yourself up to may surpass your expectations, because I didn't think I was going to have a channel, but I just wanted to. I'd had experience with with women and everything like that. I was just curious, could I do this in the day? I don't have to be in a club. Could I meet girls in the day? I found this guy, okay, let's go and do this. I didn't really see what was going to come afterwards. I didn't see all the significance that was going to come afterwards. And yeah, there's just a whole world that can open up to you. A lot of guys I've worked with, they start on this journey as well, just bit by bit. They start to travel more. I think half of them have moved cities. They've moved from a small city to a big city because they're realizing, I want to be where the action is. So yeah, you can take many things from it, but being around the right people is so important. It's just so important. Um, yeah, you don't like people leaving, do you? When people leave, that annoys you.
I just can't get my head around it. I just don't get it. I don't see the upside, the downside. Like I said, you could take a break, you could archive it, you could have it on the back burner. But I think it's passive aggressive. It's kind of saying like this.
Mm,
I've
I
graduated.
know.
That's how I look at
Yeah.
it. Like, oh, it's not. It's not. I don't need it no more. Well, that's
Mhm.
it. You're essentially saying that's what you're saying. You're saying I don't need this anymore, and that for me is nonsense. especially when it's evolving and growing, and I know what it is. The biggest thing I just wanted to say about cold approach, what you were saying is, I think cold approach, one of the fringe benefits, the biggest fringe benefit is if you do it properly, you get used to rejection. And
Yeah.
rejection's a part of life. Rejection's a part of life. Failing is a part of life. Being comfortable with failing. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. You see so many people stuck in life because they're waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect opportunity, perfect time, and it fucks them up. And they never do what they're supposed to do. And they're always in training mode, or they're always in like, I'm just gonna do this extra course, or I'm just gonna go get this extra badge, or I'm gonna just talk about it, or I'm gonna plan it, and it's like just do it, just do
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Just do it, make it, get it gone. You know what I mean? Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. And that's what happens with cold approach. You just get used to rejection. You get used to realizing that life's a numbers game. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And then you get some good feedback. You get feedback. You get to realize that the way you see yourself might not be the way that everybody else sees you, and you might. So I used to have this. I used to think like there's guys. They're a legend in their own mind. You're sat at the bar drinking your beer, going, "I'm a great footballer. Me, I could have played for so, or you know what I mean." And you still think you've got it. You still think you've got
Yeah.
it. But the reality is no, you aren't. You've got a massive belly, or you can't run 100 meters without having an heart attack. You ain't got it no more. Take your top off. Look at yourself. You know what I mean? Or go do a bleep test. You're living in the past. You're a legend in your own mind. Your ego's got the better of you. And so when you're not in that, when you do cold approach, it allows you to really see yourself. And it doesn't. If you do cold approach right and truly, you're not approaching with a Ferrari. You're not approaching with your bank balance. You're going animalistically, and you're gonna go and see what's going on. You know what I mean? And it's priceless. It's priceless. I highly recommend it for anybody. I think a lot of successful people have gone down this road and are around guys inadvertently, whether they're in an official group or they're in an unofficial group. People are doing it week in, week out in some kind of
Yeah.
form or other.
Yeah, that's true. When a lot of these high rollers on different scenes and things like that, or sports teams and things like that, they have a similar thing going on. It's not as structured as the way we've got it. Yeah, I've got to a point where it's almost like there's a curiosity of how I feel like this whole approach and how good can we get it, and all of the factors. And obviously, I'm teaching as well, so I still find it extremely interesting. But yeah, just you mentioned you get used to being rejected. Me and Jazz are on here, a couple of male models. We get rejected all the time. It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
That is the game,
It
mate.
does.
I would say,
That is the game.
Joseph,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you there, mate, but I just want to make this point. I think the most elite person in cold approach will be comfortable and will not change like their energy when rejection comes. That's elite. That's
Yeah.
elite. When you are shining your light, regardless of what's coming back, and you can shine your light and you can hold your frame. So many men lose the frame when rejection comes, or complaints, or obstacles. It's about keeping that frame. And that's why a lot of guys never even get out of first gear, because they just don't even want to look at rejection or feel rejection. And that's why industries like pole dancing, prostitution, etc., and porn, OnlyFans, are thriving
Yeah.
multi-million dollar industries, because when you pay for things, you're taking rejection off the table, and it's a very safe place for the male ego.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're not gonna get rejected by a prosty. Yeah. It's I don't even I've got to a point where I don't even really see it as rejection now, to be honest, because once you do so many, you start to realize a lot of these girls, they do have other things going on. They've got guys they might be seeing, they've got all sorts going on, or they might just not be might just not be interested in you. That's all fine. I don't really To me, they don't know me. so So we can present what we can present in a few minutes, but you know, it's learning. I think when guys take it personally, where they get say, I think almost the worst one for guys is where they get the number and then the girl ghosts them, and they don't get a message back. I think that's a tough one because they feel that okay, great, I finally got a number, and then they don't get any messaging back. But you realize over time that is also part of it as well. That's also part of it. These girls have got other things going on. She might have had a great experience in that moment, but she might also remember, oh, there's this guy in my Spanish class who he's actually the guy I've got my eye on. So it's just learning not to take things personally, and over time, I've definitely the more I've done, the more I've just seen. Wow, you think you've got to a level, and you realize no, there's another level. I found it with out in Belgrade with Balthus and Ephraim. I was like, I know I'm solid, but then I see these guys, and I'm like, they've got a few tricks up their sleeve I've not seen before. So let's incorporate some of those. So it's it's an ever evolving thing, and for personal self development, I just think it's elite. I do think it's elite. I think it's something that will enhance every aspect of your life, and you'll grow in ways, and you'll find other avenues of growth, as you've done with the marathon, as we've done with our channels. You'll find other avenues of growth you didn't even know were there. Balthus is probably one he's on now. I think he's grown in ways he didn't even know existed before he came into the group. So yeah, long live Cold Approach, long live the marathon. Mate, I've got to shoot because I've got to go to work myself in a few minutes. But it's been absolutely awesome to have you on. Any final words of wisdom for the masses?
100%. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Wing Bro. Appreciate it. And I was just going to say, keep pushing your comfort zones. That's where we're at. Keep pushing your comfort zones. That's where the magic is. Choose character over comfort. We come back to that word character. How does one stop gambling through the Gamblers Anonymous program? One does this through a progressive character change. And then when we're looking at 12 and 12, we say, so often we've chose comfort over character. Well, just ask what a 90-year-old version of yourself would say to yourself the next time you see that worldie walking by and you want to go give her a compliment. Just imagine one day you're going to take your last breath. Just go give her that compliment. Or maybe it's, should I apply for that job? Should I ask for that raise? Should I try and open that business? Should I have that difficult conversation? Should I go into that race? Should I? And then fill in the gap and choose character over comfort. Make it scare you a little bit. That's where the growth is, and getting that growth mindset. And that's attractive. You want to be attractive? Start doing those things. That's very attractive to a male and a female, whether it's a group of friends, a group of guys that want to be your friend, or a group of women that want to be with you in a sexual way. So there it is. You've got to do it. It's the same for everybody. Like Xander said to me, the marathon starts at mile 30, at 30 kilometers. It doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're trying to get sub 2, sub 3, sub 4, sub 5. The marathon starts at 30K. And it's the same for everybody. The only difference that, comes between a coward and a hero, they both feel fear. But one of them pushes through it and acts anyway. So that's it. Final thought.
I love it, mate. I absolutely love it. Sinner, absolute pleasure to have you on, mate.
Cheers,
Keep
man.
that recovery going, and I'll catch you again soon, mate. Take it easy, brother.
See you later.